It is Tuesday, January 18th, 2022. It's 2022. That weird? When you're born in 1972, when you've lived through the 80s, when you're going through the years and you realize the year 2000, which has been spoken, the actual term, the year 2000, has been spoken as like the distant future. I mean, the year 2000 back in the day, back when I was a kid, was talked about like it's Star Trek, like it's World War III devastation. Yeah, exactly. In the year 2000. Good morning, Ben. Hello, sir. Um, Ben, you're here. That makes my morning. As long as Ben is here as an audience, I'm happy. But Jenna's here as well. Hello, Jenna. I'm a loser. It's okay. I'm a loser, baby. So why don't you kill me? Um, the year 2000 was spoken about like just the friggin' future. In fact, 2000 was the end of time for a lot of people. That's what I was told. That's the actual thought that was put in people's heads, and I bought it. That the 2000 party over. Oops, out of time. Like that was going to be the end of it. Civilizations, before couldn't even fathom 2000. And now it's 2022. It's just like it's a small, it's such a tiny thing, but it's such a big thing as well. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a significant thing. Anyways, yeah, come hang out with me. Thank you as always to Dunkin' Donuts for providing me with the very rare treat of a nice coffee. You have coffee too? Coffee besties. Join me for coffee, will you? So, um, so I woke up about 5 a.m., 5 or 6, and was thinking about what I wanted to do today. We made it 22 years. And it's just so weird. And also the fact that like this morning I was thinking of I did a lot of thinking this morning, even pre-coffee. Like I said, I woke up about I think it was about 6 a.m. and um I was watching some videos. I watched a movie. There was a movie called um He Won't Make It Far on Foot, I think it's called. It's with Joaquin Phoenix, Jack Black is in it. Um Jonah Hill is in it. Uh it's an interesting the first our first anonymous Facebook user is joining us. Hey, how are you? Hello, anonymous Facebook user. Please identify yourself. Um, but good morning. How are you? Um, it's a movie basically about somebody who was an alcoholic and they got into a car crash and they became a paraplegic. Very limited use of their arms as well, but it basically was a story about the 12 steps. Philip, hello, Philip. How are you, sir? Good morning. Um, and it had a lot to do like there was a lot to learn about. I mean, like I appreciate good storytelling. I appreciate stories that do like movies, films, what they're meant to do. is to give you a perspective, to give you a slice of life, something to a story to tell to entertain you, but also to make you reflect. I like there are 2 different categories shared on Facebook. Please do, thank you. Good morning, I am well, how are you? I'm doing fantastic, thank you. I have a coffee, I'm in a decent mood this morning, and, yeah, not too bad. Um, so, uh, yeah, I have 2 categories, movies and film. A film is something to consider as thought-provoking and something like it's art. You know, it's a craftsmanship. As a matter of fact, in the movie, he this guy goes to an art class, and the guy says that there is craft and art. Craft seeks perfection. Art seeks expression, and I dig that. So it's like that's what I see it as. Art is more the movies, you know, to express themselves, you know, to entertain people. Movies are that can be flashy. They can have special effects. They're meant to entertain and to provoke and that sort of thing in one way. But film is more of a craft. It's more of a you know like to seek a way to express yourself. I'm sure, and in fact, you know, art and craft are both. Uh, you know, you have to have that balance for both things, but movies, you know, I'm sure you get what I mean by movies that you can enjoy in one sense, but film rather, um, like I said, something thought provoking, something that can shine a light on something on, you know, a mirror to reflect some part of you, and to contemplate. I mean, I dig that very much. So, yeah, I like that movie. Um, and I was surprised at how much I enjoyed that movie, and also the idea of like, "What's up, Rehab? Good morning. How are you, sir? Thanks for joining us this morning. Cheers. A little coffee for you. Swig of coffee for the working man. Booyah!" Um, it made you know it brought to the surface things like forgiveness and to forgive yourself. It talked about this 12 steps and getting to the root of the problem of what you know if something is ailing you, if something is hindering you, if there's something in your life that's causing you um, problems like alcoholism, like the dependency sort of thing. If there's something that you're dependent on, what is the root of that? How do you cope with certain things? How do you deal with certain things? And you know, no matter what we go through in life, and you'll find this, no matter what stage of life you're in, there's always you're always combating, you're always um, dealing with in, in one way or another. Um, maybe not aggressively all the time, but like life is something that you have to really deal with. You know, hopefully no hardships ever come your way. Hopefully it's smooth sailing the whole way. But that sometimes is not always a good thing as well. And so a lot of thought came out of that movie, and you know, thinking about that made me really reflect on myself too, and aspects of me, and put me in it. It put my heart, it put my mind, my imagination into someone else's perspective. Like this guy was dealing with things that going on internally in his life, problems that he had when he was really young, made him think different things, made him go in a certain direction in his life, make certain decisions in his life, dealing with other people and his perception of those other people. And it started him down a very, I mean, it set him down a particular path that in some ways was very harmful to himself. Um, and just you know how I'm sure you can imagine certain trauma that happens in your life, the way you react to it, the way that you deal with it, and the way that you continue to deal with it throughout your life. Um, it can it can set other things in motion and make life difficult for yourself. So, like I said, a lot of it was very it made me think quite a bit. Um, and like I said, it was cool because at one point it put myself in that position where this guy went through his life as an alcoholic. From a he started drinking at a very early age because of the trauma that happened in his life, and so his dependency on alcohol put him in a position where the you have the withdrawal when you don't drink, and you also have to face certain things when you don't drink when you're sober. Um, that some people can't cope with. Kathy, my love, good morning. Um, and it got him to a point where he's this guy in a wheelchair that's talking about the beginning of the movie. He's talking about the last day that he walked. Um, how that day went, and he ended up getting into a car with somebody else who was a drunk as well, and they both were going to go find better babes. They were gonna, they were two alcoholics that were going out. They were gonna drink, and they were gonna get wasted. Like that was their goal. That was their accomplishment du jour of the day. Was I'm gonna go. We're gonna we're gonna go get wasted, and that was like the ideal situation for them, and they did. But this other guy was driving at the time, um, and they got into a car accident, and the driver got away with a few scratches, but the passenger, the main character of the movie, um, ended up uh, like just completely severing his spine, and like he partial disability in his shoulders, but from like his chest down, I think was paralyzed. So he's dealing with these things, and he uses drinking as the crutch. He drinks and continues to drink to try and numb the situation to solve the situation. And of course, being addiction is another thing on top of that altogether. Um, it's a mental thing, it's a physical thing, it's all those things. Um, and it talks about how he had his moment of realization, and he had his moment of hitting rock bottom over and over again, and finally just deciding that he didn't want to drink anymore, and then dealing with the challenge of that, of trying to remain sober and going through the 12 steps, and connecting with other people, which was part of the issue as well. Is really was truly connecting with other people, and he was a damaged individual that was trying to deal with that damage that was going on in his life. Um, and even though it's a completely different story than my own, I connected with it in so many ways. And that idea of self-analyzation, analyzation, is that the word? Self-analysis, I'm sorry. Self-analysis. That idea of taking stock of yourself and not just realizing the problems that you have, but also working towards the solutions as well, working towards healing yourself, which is different than fixing yourself. I love words, and I love the power of words, and I love the specific distinction between healing and fixing, because you may not fix the situation, but you can heal. You know, and the life that he had, the what he had to hold on to after realizing that he was paralyzed and going beyond "it's unfair" and "I want to die" and certain things that I've gone through in my life as well. I've gone through that in my life. I've had those thoughts. We've jumped from 6 people to 11 people. Hello. Hello, Stevie. How are you? Hello, additional eyeballs watching at the moment. Um, I love you all, by the way. If you're watching this at this point, I want you to know I love you. So, so yeah, there was a lot of things that I connected with in this movie, and I was really happy. I'm like, it really made me feel good about myself. And knowing that, recognizing that I have problems in my life, recognizing that there's some parts of me that still, the movie's called He Can't Go Far on Foot, I think is what it's called. I believe that's the name of it. If you looked it up by that, He Can't Go Far on Foot, I think that's the name of it, and I'm sure you'll find it. It's Joaquin Phoenix, it's Jack Black, it's Jonah Hill. Um, there's a few other people that I recognize in the movie, but I can't recall their names at the moment. But like I said, it was about this guy that hit rock bottom and worked and with the help of those around him, found a way out, and that really resonated with me. Uh, like it made me appreciate those around me as well. And that wasn't the end of it as well, because like I said, that's I woke up at 6 and I watched this movie until about 8 or so, 8:30 ish. And then I flipped through YouTube, and then checked my social medias and stuff. Don't worry, he won't get far on foot. That's the one. Yeah, don't worry, he won't get far on foot. So as I'm watching this, I don't know if there's an algorithm or something like that where YouTube picked up on it. I don't know how. I mean, I don't know how this shit works anymore. There's so much more, uh, in the software, in the technology these days, that I wouldn't be surprised if it's like, oh, I saw you watch the like one, certain apps are talking to other apps, and like looking through the histories and stuff and saying, oh, well, I saw you saw this. Maybe you'd like this. Google Analytics or whatever. But in my feed on YouTube, I watched it on, I think it was Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime Video, I think is where I watched it. There's a neat little feature that if you put the title of a movie or a television show or something in Google, that it will there is normally an option of watch now that you can hit. Okay, I'll have to check it out. Yeah, please do. There's a feature that I've used a few times where I'm like, uh, Google will tell you where a certain thing is available. Like if it's on Hulu or if it's on YouTube or if it's on YouTube movies or whatever, or Amazon Prime or Netflix or where have you. But yeah, it was an interesting, like I said, very thought provoking. That's the main thing. That's the reason why I'm choosing to see a lot more movies, a lot more films than I have in the past. Like like, one, because I've watched a lot of movies, and I don't like really rewatching movies. Um, I've scrolled through lists and lists and lists of like so many, like all the movies that Ben's collected. HBO Max, like HBO has a shit ton of movies in alphabetical order, and I'm just scrolling through and being like, nah, nah. I haven't seen it, but I'm not really interested. Or yeah, I've seen it, but it's been a while, and I kind of remember the movies, and nah. And then keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. I'm just passing by so many movies, and just like I'm not satisfied. I'm not drawn towards a particular film, but in this case, that was one that caught my eye. And that's what the reason why I'm so excited about my Regal Unlimited pass is that I like today I decided I'm gonna go see um uh West Side Story. It's not a movie that I would normally see. Like I don't normally see musicals. And I don't normally see animated movies. The only thing that I don't feel compelled to go see is like a horror movie, because I'm not a fan of the horror genre. It's not something I think I would enjoy in any way. But like a musical, I've enjoyed musicals before. I sometimes I think I'm not gonna like it, but I'm like, no, I'll give it a shot. And especially if I go to see it in the theater, I mean, I've heard many things about West Side Story that the new like the arrangement, the orchestration of it, and there's a lot of parts to it that that I think I would appreciate. So I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll go see it. I got the unlimited pass. Take a chance. Like I mentioned, there's about 30 movies that I know that I will probably see, and let's assume half a dozen other movies that it'll surprise me. That, take a chance, see something that you may not want to. So far, there was what's that one? Nightmare Alley was a recent movie that I'd seen that I didn't know if I'd like, but I took a chance and I dug it. And The Green Knight was another one because it was a reissue, a re-showing of the movie. I didn't know necessarily that I'd like it, but I did. So getting out of my comfort zone a little bit. But getting back to what was going on today, so I went to Dunkin' Donuts to get an iced coffee and checking my feed on YouTube while I'm waiting in the drive-through line. And I there's this thing about um uh something along the lines of being a loser isn't a bad thing, kind of a thing. This one person was talking about stoicism and about perception, about the definition of success being subjective, the idea of winning and losing being subjective, um, being happy in life is based off of your goals, your desires. If you feel you need certain external things, certain material possessions, um, fame, adoration of a mass. Iced coffee, Philip, was that you said you iced coffee? Iced coffee is delicious. If you don't like it, I feel bad for you because it's delicious. I hope that you find something that you will enjoy, like I enjoy iced coffee. And I don't even drink it that much, but it's still pretty good. Um, and I don't know if it's just a New England thing either. I mean, a lot of people like iced coffee, but for me, up in New England, it's very. I did say that, and I stand by. That's fine. That's fine. Enjoy what you enjoy. That's perfectly all right. Uh, so many thoughts going through my head. Like I said, this was pre-coffee, but I felt so great this morning, and my brain was working uh so well for me this morning because of the things rolling around in my head, like identity and my goals and my perception of reality, what makes me happy, the people that are around me, and just reflecting on the place where I am right now as opposed to where I was 4 years ago or 3 years ago or 2 years ago. I mean, just and I'll be 50 next year, and the past few years, building up to this point of me turning 50, um, has been an existential journey for me. Like I'm so self-aware. I'm so self-conscious. Um, I have been for a while, but just like I'm going through this in my mind of the past 10 years, the past 5 years. And then every year every year, as it goes along, like, just I'm always focused on that. I don't have I don't have certain things. I have distractions in my life, but, like, I have no chemical dependency. I've never drank, never did drugs, um, or, like, I don't I let me rephrase that. I don't consume alcohol on a regular basis. The only drugs that I do are prescription drugs. I smoke a cigar every once in a while, so it's like I enjoy certain things, but I've never consumed alcohol to the point of numbing myself to the world. I've never gotten so high to leave this plane of existence kind of a thing, to an altered state of reality kind of a thing. I've usually and I'm not sure the reason why necessarily. I know it's a control thing for one, but it's also a matter of maybe it's a pride thing as well, like being to face the world and the hardships of the world, and not give myself an opportunity to find an alternative to that, because I might like it. That is certainly a thing that, like, the the getting drunk. I've seen too many people get drunk and just, like, cut loose and say "fuck it," in many different ways, and I think that I'm afraid of finding an addiction, finding something that I'd like more than reality. Um, so that's always been something that's been on my mind. Okay. What was that? That was weird. It sounded like snow fell off of my onto my van, but it's like I don't know what that was. Anyway, um, so yeah, I'm my brain's running on all cylinders right now, and the coffee's just kicking in. So the perfect opportunity for me to jump on here and talk to y'all because there's so many things running through my mind right now. I was thinking earlier on as well that I'm never gonna have kids. So much needs to happen in my life for me to be in a position to be a parent that I'm fairly certain. Never say never, but high 90s% probability that I will not be a father, which is fine. Some people are meant for it. Some people uh, fit in that category. I don't fit in that category. That's fine. And being a parent, being a father, is an opportunity for you to pass your experience on to others. But there are other ways to do that, such as this, such as live streaming. I don't know how long this is going to remain in existence. If I put this out to the world, I'm not sure how long people will have access to this information. If anybody, like, years from now, hello handsome, I know who that is. Good morning, Stevie. How are you, darling? Um, yeah, I'm not sure if I put this out there, how, like, if this is something that someone can uncover, discover, kind of thing, and this information can go to them. I don't know if half the things that I talk about will reach anybody. That's not, I mean, my goal is to put it out into the world to make me feel better. If it happens to reach someone else's ears, fantastic. Fantastic. I hope you are doing well. I am. I'm doing very well. Thank you. I'm feeling good. Um, the so yeah, maybe I'll never be a parent. That's fine. I'll never have kids. That's fine. Maybe I won't even ever have a partner, and that's fine as well. I'm still in a world full of people. I'm still able to connect to folks. I'm still able to have experiences with folks, you know, and that's good. Um, I accept the fact that where I am in life, there are things that I may not achieve, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to achieve anything, and that doesn't mean that anything that I do achieve is going to be any less significant. You know, I could say certain things like finding a partner, having sex, being having a child. Um, you know, maybe I'll never get high. Maybe I'll never get drunk. Maybe I'll never get into an airplane again. Maybe I'll never leave the Earth. Leave orbit. Maybe I'll never be rich. You could go down the list of things that you may never achieve in your life, or things that you may never experience in your life. But that's fine. That doesn't lessen anything that I do experience. Having an experience in itself that can alter your perception of reality, very small things can do that. Very slight, any change in perception is significant. Any, you don't have to be 100 feet off the ground in order to see the world differently. For a lot of people, being a couple feet off the ground. For someone in a wheelchair to be able to stand up again, for someone in a hospital bed to be, or someone confined to a prison cell to be able to be out in the open, to actually have sunlight on your face, like it doesn't take a lot to change your perception. So, um, yeah, I'm. Today is a day that my brain is experiencing these thoughts and appreciating this idea, this concept. Uh, I'm having a good brain day. Maybe I'll say that, or that might be a better way to say it. But yeah, I'm having a good brain. And so I'm watching this video on YouTube, which I'll share on social media, about the idea, again, about perception, about what it is to be successful, about what it is to have to be wealthy. Um, these are all words that have certain concepts, but have a good brain day. I will. Thank you. You too. Um, Watching this video, it's like it reinforces the thoughts that I've already had in my head of, you know, what is a pursuit in your life? What is success in your life? What is it to be a loser? The thing of, you know, what is your own idea of happiness versus how much you how much stock you put in other people's opinions. Like what rules your life? What tells you if you're good or not? Is it how you feel yourself about yourself, or is it, do you take everybody else's opinions and value those in regard to your own life? Does that make sense? Um, what do you feel? What is your worth? What are the things that you value, and put your life up to that, uh, you know, up to those standards versus, how many likes you get, how many follows you get. Um, the idea for me for the likes and follows and stuff like that. The idea of building an audience on here is so that I can, like certain in order to get on YouTube and live stream, in order to get on TikTok and live stream, in order to get and a lot of these places they have like a minimum followers or minimum subscribers kind of thing. In order for them to allow you to live stream, you need 1,000 followers. So that's a goal that YouTube or the TikTok has set, and I'd like to reach those in order so that I can have access to that live streaming capability so that I can reach out to more people. That'd be fantastic. But I'm not pursuing it's like my goal is not to be super popular. My goal is not to be a major influencer. My goal is to reach the minimum amount so that I have access to the thing to reach out to more people. And it would be nice, like it's a bonus for me now, not so much as I'm not as ambitious as I was 5 years ago because, like I said, my priorities have changed a little bit. It it would be it's possible for a person to talk to people, to present content, and like to like a business platform kind of a thing. It's nice to do this toward the result of making money so that like I'll just say it plainly. I want to say this like in a specific way, but I'll just say it and it'd be nice if I could talk to people and earn a living doing that. Of course, it would be nice. The part of me still wants to entertain people to the point where if I entertain enough people, I could make $1,000 a month. Hold on one second because I'm noticing my battery's going down pretty quick. So hold on one second while I try to plug in. There we go. And my power inverter is probably going to make some noise in a second, but you might hear some weird noises in a little bit. That's because this thing is old. I've probably put that through the ringer so many times. Um, a lot of wear and tear on that. Yeah, taking stock of my life right now. If I made $1,000 a month, I can live off of that. I don't need a lot. I don't want a lot. Um, I'd like to have, as I've said before, it'd be nice to have some money in the bank, pay my bills, take care of my expenses, and have a little bit of cash in my pocket. That would be great. I'm not looking to be rich. I'm not looking to be like super YouTube famous and internet famous. Um, but I'd like to figure. I mean, it's possible to do that and figure out some way that could supplement my income would be great. Just to have a little cushion would be fine because you never know what's going to happen. So yeah, there's like I wouldn't mind being able to take care of that. But what makes me happy now is more the point of I want to reach out to folks. I want to connect with people. And I appreciate I appreciate you guys so much. Um so many people have come into my life and have really made my life better by knowing you. And that's what I'm addicted to. That's what I'm attracted to is meeting new folks that I can spend some time with and that can react to the things that I say. It's true. It is true. I like I can say what I want. I can express myself, and not just for the sake of me expressing myself. That's great, but also that someone will receive that. Someone will take that to heart. That they will process that and they will respond, and I will receive that response. That interaction between me and other folks. Like that's what I want, and this is a great environment for me. This really works for me. I took a chance when, and I will thank John Webb, my friend in Florida. I will thank him so much for introducing me to Periscope and the idea of actually reaching out and getting on an app using this form of communication to interact with people. I'll thank him forever for it because it opened up the idea of I can use my phone to speak to people, to get these thoughts out of my head and actually interact with the world in a comfortable way. I wouldn't see myself 10 years ago public speaking, but that's exactly what I'm doing is public speaking. It's just in a way that's comfortable for me. It's private in the sense of I'm in a comfortable space right now, talking on my own time at my own pace, in my expressing myself in my own way. And you can come in, you can feel free to join the conversation or not. You can stick around and you can enter in chat for things that you like and then respond to me. We can have this conversation, or you can just observe, you can just spectate. Completely up to you. The freedom that this provides me, and again, I have no problem saying this whatsoever. The therapy that this provides me to work, like I've spent my whole life with thoughts in my head. I've spent my whole. I'm glad I found you forever ago. I am too. I am too. Like the connections that I've made with folks, the people that have been in my life, that I can consider you individually and collectively at the same time, and the individuals that have come into my life that I appreciate so much, um, it's significant. Uh, it's changed me as a person. It's certainly saved me from killing myself. Like I think that's something that I can't stress enough. And I'll mention I have no problem talking about the fact that there was a point in my life where I wanted to kill myself. There was a point in my life before that that I thought I would never want to kill myself. I hope I never reached that point. And there was a point that I reached that. Like the different rock bottoms. Hey Maddie. Hi, how are you? Who's saying hey Maddie? That could be Day Day. I'm gonna guess Day Day. Um there there are times in my life where I'd hit rock bottom in many different ways. I guess for that version of me, for that time period, it was the bottom of whatever it was at that time. But to get to the point where, as a grown man, to say that I don't want to be alive anymore. I don't know what life is. I don't want to experience this anymore. Like for me to say that, for me to give up like that is it's just like it's tragic and transformative as well. I'm in a place right now in my life where it's like, no, I absolutely don't want to die. Maybe I don't know what life is, but that doesn't mean I want to give up. That's interesting with what you've told me about your fear of death. That must have been scary. Yeah, yeah, it is Day Day. Hello, my Day Day. I love you very much. Um, yeah, I don't want to die. It scares me to lose this thing that I have, to lose this opportunity, to have this taken away from me when I feel so good connecting with people. Oh, Papa Bear, I love that. To lose this connection with people, to lose this chance to get to know more people, to have more of of these relationships in my life, of these experiences come into my life. Like never want this taken away from me. It's the unknown, it's terrifying. It is. And the inevitability of it also is the thing that's like no matter how much I want, no matter how much that no matter what I go through in my life, it's coming kind of a thing. Um and especially like in the past 5 years, I think I want to say it was around like it was I'm with Pam and it was before her passing. I want to say it was before her cancer diagnosis. Um, I wanna say it was about the time when, I wanna say about 2014 is when it started in my mind. The realization that I'm getting older, the realization that because I decided not to be in my band anymore. I had lost my job as a graphic art like, I got to the point where so there was a point in my life where I was in a band. All that I wanted was to be a graphic artist and the lead singer of a band and have somebody by my side. And I had all those things. The peak of my life as far as I was concerned. Um, and I had the best woman by my side. And I was very satisfied with the band that I was in and the music that I was making. And I felt like I had the world. Um, I had the opportunity to have the world in my hands. Um, I was making music. I had the job that I wanted. Maybe I didn't have everything. I've been poor my whole life, so I mean, it the having everything is subjective as well. I was rich beyond my wildest dreams at that point. Just the fact that I have the job that I want, I have the passion that I want, I have the girl at my side that I want. Like she was beautiful and she was supportive and she made me want to be better. And I had passion and I was expressing myself and all these things. And it was around 2014 that I lost my job as a graphic artist, that I left the band, and Pam was diagnosed with cancer at that time as well. Um, I think priorities, need to tend to shift as you get older and your circumstances change. What I thought of as success 10 years ago is wildly different from what I think of now. Yeah, she was a great human, she was. Still is a great human. Remember what I talked about before, that she still exists, she just exists in the past. That's the thing that my new thing now, my new discovery, my recent discovery was the past exists at the same time as the present. So she's still alive. She's just alive in the past. The past exists the same time as the present, the same time as the future. So she still exists. Um, I love that, man. If anybody has not watched my previous broadcast, there was a show that I was watching. I think it was Discovery, where this character was talking about her mother and how she missed her mother, and she considered her mother because she was on a ship that traveled 400 years into the future, and so she kept saying that my mom is back there, meaning 400 years in the past, and she misses her. And I'm like, wow, what a great way to think of it. Not that she's gone, not that time has gone by and she's gone, but that she still exists, like she's just back there. She's back in the past. Like that was something that I'm like, oh, I'm holding on to that. That's a keeper right there. She's still alive. She's just alive 10 years ago or whatever you want to call it. So, and that even extends to the other things going on in my head too, like success. I'm still the front man for a band. It was just back in, 2007 to 2014, I was in a band. So I still have that achievement. I haven't lost that just because time has gone by. That's so true, even though they aren't here the same way, their influence still has impact in making them immortal. Yeah. Um, like, I'm still happy. She's still around, she's still alive, and she's still happy. It's a different time period. So that perception of time is like, I'm gonna hold on to that. And I wouldn't, and you know what? If I had killed myself, if I had been so miserable, what would that have been, like 3 years ago? Now, let's call it 3 years ago. Or 2 years, two and some change. So I'm gonna call it three. Um, if I had ended my life 3 years ago, I would have never been at the realization that I am now. I would have never had that epiphany. I would have never experienced that to change my perception. So that in itself is a reason to stay alive, because just to allow yourself the opportunity to gain those new experiences and change your perception of reality. Like that only adds worth to life. That only adds to my paranoia of it ending, my fear of losing this. Um, but uh, I remember that stream where you and Pam went mini golfing. It lives rent free in my head. I still have that card. In fact, here it is. I have that on my dashboard. This is the very card, and also the pictures of Pam and I from that day. Um, Golf score, which I think she won. I think. Yeah, she won by 5 strokes. I'm not crying, I swear. Um, so yeah, that's always going to be here. Um, yeah, that stays on my dash. So, uh, so hi Ian, how you doing, sir? Hello and good morning. So the things that I want in life, the things, the what is of value to me, and it makes me appreciate my life. That these, like, I'm so grateful that my life has gone the way it has, to the point where right now I don't have a lot, I don't need a lot, I don't want for a lot. The things that I'm not focused on material possessions. I'm more focused on, I like the opportunity, like what I want is the opportunity to reach out to more people and just tell them that if something like I say could change someone's perception of reality. I refuse to delete my old Facebook because she sent me a bunch of happy face emojis and I can't delete them. Things that help my mental health is living for right now. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I want. I want What's important to me now is to get to a point, to get it to a point where if I could get enough likes and enough follows on YouTube, subscribers on YouTube, subscriber or followers on TikTok, and work just a little bit to a little bit harder, to advance a little bit more, so that I could live stream to more people, so that I could do this, have these conversations with more people. I want that. I liked it on Periscope because I like the attention, but it's changed now. It's changed from the attention to the opportunity to just get out some of the things that I feel that I need to say, in hopes that I can plant more seeds. I want to. You're a good dude, Maddie. Thank you. Thank you. And that's the kind of thing that I want to be, a good man, and I want to share things in my life so that if someone can receive the same message that I've received in my life to get me to the point where I am right now, I really feel like it would help people. Maybe not everybody will get rid of their material possessions. Maybe not everybody will get to the point where loving themselves and accepting themselves and like I still have problems in my life. I have still have things that I need to work on, and I always will. And that's the thing that I want to show. That's the thing that I want to share because while I'm going through this, if there's somebody else experiencing the same thing that I have, that this could change their life a little bit, that's what I want. I'm really proud of the steps you've taken in life just in the past few years. I don't think I've said that enough. I can't hear it enough. We're all broken just differently. Yeah. Like I use the word damage and I've used the word broken in my life to describe myself, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not putting myself down. In fact, that's pretty uh revolutionary too. That's a revelation for me that I don't put myself down like I used to. Self-deprecation is like a form of humor that I appreciate, but I don't sincerely consider myself to be a piece of shit anymore like I used to. I'm not as self-awareness. Yeah. I'm I don't put myself down like I used to. I don't consider myself to be a piece of shit. I'm a work in progress for sure. And but I value I know my self-worth. I know the things that if you ever want to come through Ohio again, I'll come on camera this time. That's cool. Sure. And I'd love to come up and hang out with you again sometime. That was neat. Chilling out. Like I love the chilling out thing. I need more campfires, more I need more cigars, I need more iced coffees. Yes. Comfy chair and a conversation. I need more of that. Negative talk only brings more negative. Well, sometimes you need to get rid of that. Sometimes you need to let that out. I bought a fire pit. I'm there. I'm there. Fire pits and comfy chairs and the occasional cigar, a nice day. Um, low humidity is a great thing. Uh, evenings with a fire pit and a cigar and an iced coffee. No snow. Right now we got a little bit of snow. It's like there's a little bit on the ground. Springs and autumns are fantastic. Summer depends on where you are. Winters depends on where you are, but springs and autumns, sure. Um, we got snowed in. Oh man. Um, so maybe like I said, at like 2014 is when it started in my head of, man, it started to really hit powerfully home with me. 15 feet of cold horse shit. Horse shit. We went to find snow in Clayton, Georgia. um, it really started to hit me hard that my dad died at 50. I can't remember if it was 52 or 54. I want to say he was 52, but I can't remember at the moment. I'm bad with numbers, anyways. 15 inches feels like 15 feet. Why not? Um, 15 inches, feet, same thing. Like I said, it's numbers. You said 15 feet. I knew exactly what you meant, so it's all good. Yeah, but I'm like, man, my dad died, and I'm gonna be as old as my dad was when he died. And like as I'm getting closer to 50, like it's really starting to hit me now. Like I guess the midlife crisis, if you want to call it that. I don't know. It's it is what it is. I'm not really trying to define it like that. I'm just at the point where I am. Oh shush. No, no shush. Never shush. Uh I think my hubby feels that his dad died young. Yeah. I'm not my dad. And I'm trying to remind myself of that. I'm not my dad. My dad was a different person. It was a different time. He was a different, like, physically, his physiology was different. He smoked, he drank, he did a lot of things in his life that I don't even know. So I don't. His circumstances were different. He's in a different body than I was. He didn't experience COVID, like I did. He didn't he didn't have to deal with certain things. He didn't have, like, his mental state was different than mine. Bilbo, my boy. His dad died of heart attack. All males in his family due to heart issues. What up, Blow Blow? Bilbo, we haven't talked in a little bit. I fucking love you, man. I'm so grateful that you've been in my life as well. I said that to Jenna, said that to Day Day, to Ben. I say that, I mean that to everybody. I may not say you specifically, but know that sincerely, if you have been in my life, especially in the past 5, 6 years, if I have had a personal connection with you in any way whatsoever, I just want you to know I love you. It's really important that you know that. My dad died at 47, mom died at 65. Yikes. Tell Dildo I said hi. Day Day says hi, Bilbo. We haven't said Dildo in so long. We haven't. And I appreciate, man, I tell you, I appreciate the connections that I've made in this life with so many people. And, like, to quote that movie, Don't Worry, You Can't Get Far on Foot, that I just saw today, one of the lines in the movie was, I want to thank everybody that's, I want to thank, it was something along the lines of, I want to thank everybody that's got me to this point tonight. I wouldn't be here tonight. Um, whatever the case is, the line in the movie was, "If it weren't for you, if it weren't for the people that were in my life, I wouldn't be here right now. I don't think I would have made it to where I am right now." And I sincerely mean that to you guys. You win the lotto? I haven't. I wish I did. I need to play the lotto first in order to win it. But, like, that'd be great. I got to run the babies trying to destroy things. Baby monsters, love you. Love you, Matt. I would say Matt, but Jason, that's all right. Love you so much. Have a great day. I love your monsters. Um, yeah, winning the lotto would be great. Like, I think about that in an entertaining sort of way, an amusing sort of way. Of, if I had 161 million dollars in the lotto, means 80 million in one check. I'm like, for me to have $80 million, I'd be set for life. Who knows how long life is going to be? All the things that I'd like to do with it. Like, yeah, that'd be great. But after, that being said, where I am right now is still pretty good. And that's a good thought to have, is I'm in a good place right now. There's certain I don't, like I said, I don't need much. I don't want for much. Um like, the everything else would be cake at this point. But no, haven't won the lotto. But yeah, to think of myself a couple years ago not knowing what life is, and not knowing if I'll ever be happy, not knowing, like, my world has changed significantly, and I thought I was happy where I was, and there was a lot of ways where I had a lot and I still wasn't happy, and here I am with less than I had then. And I'm happy. That's why I'm like, and you are a survivor. Yeah, that was the point of the title of this broadcast being "Losers Win, Winners Lose," because somebody could have a lot, and that means you have a lot to lose. Someone could have nothing, and any success, any any gain whatsoever, any win is a win for a loser. Um, it like just it, that really made me think. So that put me in the it put me in the frame of mind where I am right now, where it's like, oh, so maybe I'm not able to do certain things, but what I've gained, what I have in my life is subjective. Or not what I have in my life is subjective. The worth, the value of what I have in my life is subjective. Maybe I am not rich, but I have many people in my life that I can call friends. Many people in my life that even if I never talk to them again, I've had an experience that's made me a better person, that's made me happy. I have reasons to be happy. I have reasons to continue to live. I have these moments in my life that are gifts, you know, um, that I appreciate so much. And like I said, I could write a list of things that I may never achieve. I could write a list of things that I may never have. But what's the point in doing that when I have, I could rather focus on the things that I do have and have had. I could have, I'd rather consider my wins than consider my losses, kind of thing. Glad to hear this side. Yeah. And I may not always feel that way, but I'm here where I am. That's where I am now. You know, there might come a time where I'm crying because I don't have this or that, where I may have challenges, I may have frustration, I may be in a bad mood at times, but I'm not there right now. And this is a moment for me to appreciate. Um, and this is the thing that, just like I watched a movie that brought this to mind, considering that and where I am now and how I'm holding on to that right now, how I'm feeling that right now, I want other people to have this feeling. There are people that don't feel as good as I feel right now just because their mind is not in the right place. There's a message to be heard and things to consider, a story to be told, and like I've said before, a seed to be planted into somebody else's brain that maybe at some point this might help them. This might save their life. This might make them appreciate what they have a little bit more. And Lord knows we need that in this world. We need positivity. I've certainly needed it. 5 years ago or whatever, 4 years ago, I've certainly needed this. Um, I'm much happier being in this frame of mind than I had been, at those low points and the rock bottoms in my life. Um, so those are the things that I want to achieve, is the ability to reach out to more people and say this. I hope that at some point, like maybe it's going to be TikTok. Maybe if I get 1,000 folks on TikTok and I live stream on there, I can connect with folks. Maybe if I get 1,000 people on YouTube and I can live stream on there. Maybe if at some point, if I have the space and the technology to get on Twitch and stream more on Twitch, um, I look at people who play video games on Twitch, and that's the place that I want. I look at the I look at the same goals that I've had before, and I kind of like I really wish that I got on Twitch more when I had the technology, when I had the ability. Back at the house, the podcast studio, shed, but I'm doing something right now. Um, but I'm not like I'm not like regretting anything. I'm just saying. Jade, hi Jade, love you. Jade. Where am I at these days? I'm in Knoxville. Specifically, right now, I'm parked next to the Chinese food, the Chinese restaurant that I eat at. Um, get some chicken and veggies. Uh, my normal daily thing is eat some eat some meat and veg and watch videos and stuff on my phone. But today I think I've decided I'm gonna go to the movies. I'm waiting for a bunch of really good films to come out, and there's no movies coming out yet, but sort of I like how do I put it? There's no movie that I'm like chomping at the bit to go see, like a Spider-Man or a Ghostbusters or like anything big movies. So I'm kind of like I wanted to go to the movies so bad. West Side Story has been in theaters for a while, and I haven't gone to see it. Today I'm like I want to go to the movies so bad. I think I'm just gonna go and see West Side Story. It's not on my want list, but it's out, it's available, and who knows? Like there's been some movies that um like today, this morning, I saw that movie. Don't worry, he can't go far on foot. Um, I saw that movie this morning, and it made me really happy, and it made me like, let's go see if there's another film I can watch that'll make me feel better, that could bring out some emotions in me, and who knows. Um, it's starting to warm up a little bit. I put the windows down a crack, and it sounds better than grading papers. Appreciate where you are too. Like even though you're dealing with a chore at the moment, you're grading your children's papers. You're involved in the education of your children. Appreciate that for what it is as well. We're not all on a boat sipping cocktails with not a care in the world, but that doesn't mean that where you are isn't in a really good place. Um, like I love you and I love your kids, and I'm like where you are. I'm grateful because some countries are getting homeschool banned right now. Yeah, really, like wherever you are right now, appreciate the moment. Appreciate where you are because there are some real and that see that's the thing. There are some really good things happening in your life right this second that you may not even consider immediately. Like it would take somebody to tell you recognize where you are. You know, someone would have to prompt you to reflect. And that is such a powerful thing. You could be so stuck on something negative. You could be saying, "Oh man, like if I didn't have any cash in my wallet, I could be like, oh man, I'm fucking broke, and just like life sucks." But at that same time that you're focusing on this one thing that's not going your way, or like I was just saying, I don't have 1,000 followers on TikTok, so I can't live stream on TikTok, and that sucks. I don't have 1,000 followers on YouTube, so I can't live stream on YouTube right now, and that sucks. I'm not making money I don't have my computer like I did years ago. I just have a laptop that I barely use. But like right, like mom saying you are doing better and breaking generation curses with what you are doing right now. She said it over Christmas. That's awesome. You are doing better and breaking generation curses with what you are doing right now. That's significant. Wow. That's a Christmas gift right there. That someone can that your mother would say that. Wow, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Can the world be better? Can there like could you have a dream, like a fantasy dream of never having to work and all everything's provided for you and the utopia kind of a idea? Sure, there are ways that the world could be everything that our heart desires and more than you could ever ask for. Like it could be unicorns and rainbows and all that shit. It's not, but that just because it's not doesn't mean shit isn't really good right now. There's a lot of bad things happening in the world. That's true. There are a lot of there are a lot of problems that you have in your life. That's true. She wasn't there for me growing up, and here I am schooling my kids, and I'm with them every day. Yeah. Um, just because things aren't perfect doesn't mean it's not good. Like perception is reality, and that's something that we have to hold on to. Is is everything exactly the way that I want it? No. Would I want Pam alive right now? Absolutely. Would I want to win lottery? Would I want not have to worry about money ever again? I was talking to a friend of mine. It might have been yesterday or the day before yesterday, but we were talking about science fiction and the idea of the future. And I was saying that I'm so tired of dystopian versus utopian. Like there are two ways to look at the future, to look at future science fiction, and that's either like Mad Max, everybody's fucking crazy, and the world's dying, and it's just a matter of living out the days until the end, kind of thing, and survival and all that, and how like everything's dire, everything's grim. Um, that like I said, that dystopian. It's just a matter of time before everything just goes to shit, and like there's that sort of view of the world. And on that same day that I was talking to him, I was just talking to a coworker was telling me about how their friend got shot. It was in the hospital because of just bullshit happening in reality right now. And I was kind of like just in a really bad mood the other day, and sort of building up, and I was just like really just in a really shit mood, and I'm like, fucking people, man, life, man, all that shit. Um, how unnecessary a lot of shit is. And I'm like, that's like a view that people just hold on to. VOI, FYI. John Thompson, hi, how are you? What is that? VOI. FYI is for your information, but I have no idea what the other one is. Um, but my conversation with this person changed because he's a writer and he likes talking about science fiction. We both enjoy science fiction. He was mentioning like Raised by Wolves, and I said that wasn't I wasn't really into it. I saw a couple episodes and I didn't feel it. It wasn't for me. And he's like, why? I'm like, cause I have certain tastes now, certain ways that I want to feel, and those aren't movies that make me feel the way that I want to feel. They don't make me they don't make me um they don't bring out the right thoughts in my head, things I want to contemplate. It's more like having me see a world that I don't enjoy. Like it doesn't satisfy me. Like some other thing. Like where's the wonder in science fiction? Where's the if you could tell a story that could provoke thoughts and feelings in people, I would rather it be something uplifting, something inspiring, seeking a way for the world to be better than it is, rather than it's bad and it could get worse, and like a warning kind of thing. Can't watch things like that bring me depression. Yeah, like if I'm going to spend my time being entertained, if I'm going to spend my time in watching things, I don't want gore. I don't want violence or over sexualization. I don't want Yeah, I don't want violence in porn. I don't want uh everything's bad and don't trust people, and here's the worst in humanity, and I don't want like warnings all the time. There's enough of that in real life. I felt that enough in my life. I know the bad that people can do. I know the evil that exists in the world. And like you can't go anywhere without hearing that or seeing that. Just keep your eyes open and look around a little bit, and something will come your way to remind you about the shit that exists in the world. That's not the problem. um I'm more, I want to spend my energy encouraging people and be a reminder of what's good in the world and what can happen, because that's important to me too. I need to say that to me just as much. I need reminding of that. I've spent a lot of my life and a lot of my energy in my life telling myself I'm a piece of shit, saying that I'm broken, saying that I'm damaged. I've had trauma in my life and that I need to deal with that, and that, you know, I know my faults. I know the bad that exists in my body. I've had a heart attack. I've been overweight forever. There's a muscle in my arm that got tore, it never really fully healed, and it hurts sometimes if I use it, if I overexert myself. Like I'm feeling my age, and I have to worry about high blood pressure, and I have to worry about anxiety, and I have to worry about this prescription medication I'm taking, and the things that I take that may affect me in a certain way down the road, and all these things I have to worry about, and all these, like I have all that, and I have easy access to that, and reminders daily, and many several times within that day of things that are wrong. I'm trying to combat that. I'm trying to, like, keep myself afloat and remind myself of the good things that exist in the world. But that being said, I'm going off on a tangent here. That dystopian versus utopian thing, that everything is shit and going downhill, or everything is perfect. Like a utopian thing where, like Star Trek, nobody worries about possessions, nobody worries about monetary gain. Humanity is, humanity thrives in pursuit of personal knowledge and personal growth, and everyone is working together towards um bettering themselves and bettering humanity, and what can we do to contribute and help each other out, and um that idea of the 24th century Starfleet, United Federation of Planets, uh, encouraging humanity and supporting ourselves and supporting each other, but like flying cars or living in shit, A or B, black or white. That's it. That's all there is. That's not all there is. So, what about a post apocalyptic future where not everything's perfect, but that's fine? People are trying. you know? Instead of 15 seasons of The Walking Dead, instead of zombies and gore and evil and death and all these things, give me a show, 3 solid seasons of people realizing where they are in the world, realizing that humanity's had a disaster. We've suffered we've suffered disaster, and we're looking to rebuild. Think of The Walking Dead without the zombies. There's enough conflict. And I told him, I wish I could pull it up on my phone right now, but I told him, I said, I understand the idea because we're talking about Raised by Wolves, and it was the if you've never seen Raised by Wolves, it's a show basically where these synthetic organisms, these synthetic people, I don't know why I said organisms, these synthetic people, these androids, are trying to raise the last of humanity. They're trying to raise kids, and in order to save humanity, and they want, in order to have humanity continue, imagine a world where humans are almost extinct, and these androids, these synthetic humans, are programmed to, at any cost, continue the humanity's survival, um, to to not create life, but to take these lives. Well, it was because I think they were embryos or something like that. They were in this case, and they took these. They were like, these androids were, well, the mother was, his mother and a father. The mother, her job was to incubate these, to give birth to humans, and to guard these humans and raise them, and have them grow into, free thinking and uh, healthy human beings, just to continue humanity, to make human beings still a thing and still survive in the harsh environments and stuff like that they had to, all this stuff. So the idea, I get the idea, and that's a profound idea, but the tone of the series is very dark. David, hello, sir. How are you doing, good sir? I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing? So the whole tone of Raised by Wolves is very profound, but it was very dire. Like I said, the conditions, it was harsh conditions, that the circumstances of trying to, that's that's a big deal, where humanity, to avoid humanity's distinction down to like one or two, trying to raise 5 children is a big deal. And like, they lost a couple of the kids just because of the environment, the circumstances they were in, lost a couple of the kids. And so you cut, if you're trying to raise 5 babies and have them grow into humans that can take care of themselves, and you lose two, like, if you're cutting the population in half immediately, and like, that's a significant thing. So like, high stakes and conflict. And I that's like part of a story, to tell a story, and I get that, I appreciate that. If when you're trying to tell a story, you need certain things like conflict in order to make the story move along, to have stakes, so that you realize that there's something to sacrifice, and it engages people, and it's like, you have, it does what I you know it does the thing that it says on the tin, or that's supposed to do, which is provoke emotions, provoke thoughts, make you think, make you feel, make you root for the good guys, and make you, hate the bad guys, and like that's what it's supposed to be. Um, it gets to the heart of storytelling, and I can appreciate that. But also, I don't like it's exhausting to watch things that are dark and gritty. Like that doesn't equate a perfect story. Um, like I don't. You don't have to have somebody die in order to feel something. You don't have to have somebody lose everything. Like such a drastic thing. It's effective. It is effective, but it may not be preferred. It may not be the right thing just because it works. Um, but on the other end of that, it's not the right thing to say everybody's going to win and everything's great and you know tragedy exists. Um, but that, like I said, the dire and gritty and just like dark and heavy. There's enough of that in television. It was nice for a while. It's like, oh my gosh, we're talking about these things. We're addressing these things like Breaking Bad or The Walking Dead, certain things that come on television that haven't been on before that really addresses the heavy stuff, the dark and the gritty and all that. Um, I get it. And like I said, it's effective storytelling, but it's not all there is. And I said, rather than rather than going for the sure thing, how about a story about what would really happen or what could really happen in life? Yes, we're capable of killing each other. That doesn't mean we have to talk about that all the time. Yes, we're capable of lying and stealing, and like there's some things that are like we have the capacity for evil. We have the capacity for doing bad things, for mistreating each other, for neglecting each other. We have the capacity to fight and to divorce and to disown and like selfishness and all the bad things. We have that capacity, yes, but we have the capacity to learn. We have the capacity to learn from our mistakes. To no, it's not enough to present the concept of doing wrong to each other, but we have the capacity, and we should have the capacity of learning from that. Like it's not enough to just identify the problem, which a lot of stuff is doing. A lot of entertainment is doing these days. But how about doing something about it? How about learning from that? Like there's, and I'll give you an example. This thing that I told him, I'm like, how about the world has gone to shit? Let's just say that it has. Let's just say that we've suffered an apocalypse. That humanity um, is at a point now where it's what's the aftermath. Survivors need to not just survive, like I said, Walking Dead without the zombies. It's a world where great tragedy has struck, and we know that some humans go to bad measures, go down certain paths, bad paths, in order to survive. Humanity is capable of that inhumane things. Sure. How about like good solid 3 seasons of a bunch of people discovering, finding each other, and maybe they don't have all the answers, but they try to be better. They try to help each other. They try to find others and care for each other and learn from the mistakes that we've made in the past. G-Man says hi, man. Hey, G-Man. What's up, little sir? How you doing, buddy? I want to show, and we've talked about these things before, like Jenna and I specifically have talked about this. We've talked about this with other folks about if there's something, it's not enough to identify that there's something wrong with the educational system in America. It's not enough to talk about the existence of the corruption that exists in government or the corruption that exists in law enforcement or the corruption that exists in the school system or crime exists and murder and the selfishness and everything that exists, that the corruption exists everywhere. It's not enough to identify that, but how about creating a piece of entertainment where people are really trying to do more, really trying to do better, and just a simple fact of taking that one example, what would if we could create a better educational system, if we could as if there could be a community of a bunch of people, like what would that look like? We don't know. We have some idea, and but I'm like that's a thing that I want in a TV show. Like I said, take the Walking Dead. You have like a handful of people, like say 20 people, that come together, and they've gone through this shit, and they've been hungry, and they've been like they've been sick, and they've managed to survive this long enough to find a place together. They travel to this place that it's the world is garbage, but they try to take a little part of it and clean it up and build a community. They find their shelter. They figure out how to get clean water. They figure out how to get food, how to gather resources, and not just survive, but look forward to the world that it can be. Figure out ways to garden, ways to produce, not just like to be sustainable, ways to stay healthy and hygienic, ways to avoid disease, and then look to their children to you must unlearn what you learned. Yeah, like that's the thing that I want in a show. That's the thing that I would be fascinated by that every week. I want to see how these people thrive, how these people build their community, build that new world. Like, where's that show? It doesn't take a huge budget. You don't need a lot of special effects. You'd have a much better budget than you would in Walking Dead, because all that Walking Dead shit is like gore, and there's all these special effects, there's practical effects, and there's things to consider. And like, how about just like get away from the violence and all that stuff? Yeah, it exists, and we know it exists, and you can have conflict. You can have people with differences of opinion, different, but how about the arguments that you would have? If we're gonna do this, if we're gonna build this community, if we're gonna, you still haven't finished the, I still haven't finished The Walking Dead. Been forever since I watched it. I stopped watching it. I think a season or two before Pam passed away. I stopped watching it, and she kept watching it. Like she ended up Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead, and I want to say that there was a third series, but that might have been after she passed. Um, yeah, she kept watching. I just like it's the same thing over and over. You put a new coat of paint on it, and it's the same thing. It's just like bad people. Like it just got tired for me. It's like we stopped at season 7. Yeah. Um, so much potential for great storytelling, but it's like they just it was so heavy, you know. Like you want to like as high or as uplifting as a couple of the moments might be. Like bad things happen, but we survive. Bad things happen, but we survive. We lost a couple people, but we survive. People have gotten sick. Characters have died, but we still survive. New characters are coming in, and I'm like, I get that. They try to refresh things, and they try to introduce the new big bad, the new bad guy. Um, and here's the next conflict. Here's the next challenge, and so looks like things have gotten worse. What are we gonna do? How are we gonna come out of it? And it's like, that can only you can only keep that going for so long. I'm like, oh, yuck. But you know, um, Ben introduced me to permaculture, the idea of building systems so that we could survive as human beings. That it's using your resources, using your land, using your brain and your creativity to not not make the world worse but to, you know, not just to be carbon neutral, but to restore the planet, to be the not just persistent, not just self-sufficient and sustainable, but regenerative. And it's like that's something that people need to learn. Why not use some of that stuff that exists and put it into a show that could be entertaining as well as to put some ideas in people's heads? Why not encourage that? And real arguments, real feelings. People like if we're going to talk about race, we're going to talk about gender, there these topics that we have in our head. What is the government supposed to be? How do we look at each other? How do we consider, laws and the enforcement of those laws? Um, to really build a world that we want out of this world that's gone to shit, like I would love 3 seasons minimum of that. Um, and the sci-fi part of it as well, where I've talked about this before. There's a term that I've learned in the post-apocalyptic genre called kludge, which is the idea of taking garbage. Like you've seen it. Maybe you never heard of the word kludge before, but you've seen it where someone takes a bicycle in a chain or a rope or something like that, and they turn it into a generator to generate power or something. You take garbage and you repurpose it to be something of use to the community, to be something you're kludging it. You're taking this garbage and you're putting things together in order to make it into another thing that could help benefit society. A Trekian replicator, yeah. The, but it's a trope that's used in the post-apocalyptic genre. Okay, I gotta go get Demon busy. This is a great conversation. I appreciate you. I love you. I appreciate you too. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. Love your kids. Love your face. Have a great day. Um, you've seen it. You've seen this trope. Mwah. You've seen this trope in post-apocalyptic films, like they would take tires and make a wall, and barbed wire and all this, old, these metal panels and stuff, and then make their or railroad cars or stuff like that. They turn it into fortification for a community. These guard walls, and they hammer out or saw pieces of metal and make a windmill that can end up, you know, powering or help to uh, pump water and stuff like that. So that stuff that is like people use that as a sign. Like you see a windmill made of scrap metal, and you think, oh, post-apocalyptic farm, and but you don't really. People don't put stock in that as much. I'm like the the idea of fresh water and a continuous supply of water for hygiene and for like gathering rainwater and stuff. Um, People don't really put too much thought into it other than, oh yeah, there's water, and then move on. But like this is stuff that you could really tell a good story about. Um, it's something that could fuel and like food that we never run out of food. They always talk about running out of food as being a plot device, as being a trope but never working hard towards. I just don't get why people don't do that. Why that's not something that like is that it's not sexy enough. It's not you won't get ratings off of happiness and success and people struggling and coming out of it on top and bettering themselves. Like I don't understand why there isn't this sort of thing that exists. You wouldn't need a big budget. You wouldn't need like it's actually something that I would think an audience would get behind, a following would get behind. Like take Star Trek for example. Star Trek is a huge leap, 24th century. The idea of a future where there's teleporters and there's replicators and there's starships and we're traveling the warp speed and we're going to visiting other galaxies and there's all this fantastical stuff that happens, but we can't have a tenth of that. Without all the fantastic stuff, just something that's a little bit better than what we have. And we can go the other direction. You go like the fantastic in the opposite direction, like gore and violence and all this horrible, horrible shit. But we can't like dial that down a little bit. Like that's not possible. It's got to be dinosaurs and all these special effects and explosions and all this shit that you know we can't. Like, are you telling me that wouldn't be successful? Just things are bad, but we're trying to make it better. Um, I think it's absolutely possible, and I would enjoy the shit out of it. People coming together and realizing, it's like, oh, do you, you know, do you have clothes? Like a list of things. Are are you dry? Are you comfortable? Do you have clothes? Are you clean? Are you healthy? If you answer no to any of those questions, like let's help you get to a place. And maybe you're not a part of this community. Maybe you have a difference of opinion. Maybe you want to build a community that's different than ours. Let's at least take care of you, clothe you and feed you and get you to a good place where you can go off and start your own community and give you the knowledge, the experience where you can do something. Do you have kids that you're trying to raise, you're trying to educate? At least maybe not certain ideals, but the basic foundation of human life, which is to, you know, survive. Um, what does a human being need? They need, like I said, the health, the water, the food, a shelter, that sort of thing. Well, you can at least get the building blocks. We have people that can teach you certain things to get you to the point where you can at least have find a trade, find a purpose, find something that's of use, and then we could have you move along. But if you don't want that for your kids, if you don't want us to help you raise your kids, if you don't want us to help teach your kids about how to survive in this world and make it a better place, then we can get you at least set up so that you can go off and do your own thing and live your own life and do like there's a more succinct way to say that. Better writers could come up with a more descriptive, more succinct way of saying it, but you don't need explosions, you don't need dinosaurs, you don't need zombies, you don't need aliens. Someone doesn't have to die or someone doesn't have to kill somebody else. There doesn't have to be dire super consequences and everything's bad and all this, villains and all that shit. It can, I don't know why that there needs to be that. Just because that's the way it has been doesn't mean that it's that way now. Yeah, you can look to so many movies where all that shit exists, but that doesn't necessarily make that a precedent. That just means that, if anything, you could say that you look at life and say the same thing. Like, where's the progress? Because there's bad, there's always going to be bad. Because there's villains, there's always going to be villains. You know, it doesn't need to be a horror show. It doesn't need to be shock. There doesn't need to be disaster all the time. It doesn't have to be dark and gritty. That's not like that's been popular, but it's been popular for a while. It's time for something different. Anyways, kind of maybe I'm beating a dead horse. I don't know. I know I feel that way, and I'm sure that there are other people that feel that way. Maybe not everybody. But all right, that's it for me. I'm gonna get going because I'm gonna have something to eat, and then I got to figure out when I'm gonna go see a movie. I think I'm gonna see a movie today. I might get back on here. I don't know. I'm feeling motivated, so maybe I'll have some more on my mind once I think about that for a little bit. I'll get back on here and I'll talk to folks. But thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for helping me spend a little time. Not a waste of time, spending time. Time well spent. I appreciate you very much. If we don't talk later, have a great day. And if we do talk later, have a great day. But I'll see you again. Enjoy.